All right. Welcome back in, everybody out there. This is, of course, the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Edition. And I'm Kevin, your host. And Vince was not able to join us today. And he'll be back, I'm sure, next time around. But the rumors are true. Howard has resurfaced, and he joins us again. We missed you while you were away, Howard. How you doing tonight?
Good. Doing well. Watching some baseball like every night. How you
Okay.
doing?
That's what we should be doing is watching baseball every night. So I'm doing great, and we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna dive right in, guys. And of course, before we start talking about specific fantasy, we like to get into what's going on in Major League Baseball. And Howard, last week you missed it because we had breaking news as we were able to announce John Means no hitter.
Yeah, all right. That was
It
Thursday.
happened
Yep.
shortly before we went live,
Yeah.
so we're able to break that news. And of course, 2 days later, we had another no hitter thrown by Wade Miley of the
Yep.
Cincinnati Reds. And
And
if
that
you
same
guys
night,
are,
and the same night, Sean Manaea had one going too.
he did. And, if you're a regular reader of Belly Up Fantasy, the website, you would have known that I had told you guys to pick up Wade Miley off of the waiver wire. And if you went ahead and did that, congrats to you. I'm not sure how many points you get from a no hitter, but I'm pretty sure it was way, way, way up there. But Howard, one of the things I wanted to touch on is, of course, there were 2 days apart from no hitters. That's the first time that's happened since 1990, where you had two no hitters that close together. It's the fourth no hitter. Cleveland's been no hit twice already this season.
Yeah.
And at the rate things are going right now, there'll be 21 no hitters by the end of the season. So my yeah, that's just insane if you think about it. So Howard, my question to you is, does Major League Baseball have a hitting problem?
See, I've had this conversation with multiple people. I don't necessarily know if it's a hitting problem. I think, and I've been saying this all year. I think it's more of a nerve problem. And by nerves, I mean they're learning how to play in front of fans again. And I've been saying this all season because like last year there's no fans obviously with COVID. There's no one except the playoffs. So these guys aren't used to playing in front of fans, so they're just swinging at everything. I also don't. I think there is a little bit of a hitting problem, but I also think a lot of it is the umpires. I don't know what it is this year, but these umpires, they're just missing calls. They're calling uh, balls that are way outside strikes. They're calling balls that bounce strikes. I just don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's a hitting problem per se. But there's definitely something going on. I mean, it could be the fact that they claim that they changed the balls, so not as many homers. Which could be, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely something going on though. I don't know if it's a hitting problem, but I'm leaning more on the umpire and nerves, even though we're a month in. But I think a lot of it has to do with the umpires.
Well, my personal view on this is maybe not so much a hitting problem. I think a lot of this goes down. It's a coaching problem, all the way from the lower minors up. And you don't see hitters adjust during their at bats
Nope.
anymore.
No.
What, you can't go up there and hit the same if it's 2-0 or it's 0-2.
Right.
And these guys are just going up there and they're swinging for the fences. And once you get to two strikes, you got to protect the plate. You don't see any of that going on. And so I'm of the they've got to change as far as coaching is concerned. You can't be having these guys are either hitting home runs because
Yep.
strikeouts are at the highest level
Oh
they've
yeah.
ever been
Yep.
to this
Mm-hmm.
point in the season.
Yep.
And so, and another thing that I wanted to bring up is, what are your thoughts on the shift?
I think I don't. I definitely think it hurts. I think what was it? The Yankees were playing. I don't remember. I think it was the Nationals, possibly, or within the last week. I don't remember who it was, but they were shifting the whole left side of the infield, and they got it right. So I definitely think it's more of a strategy. I mean, you look at where the shift was 10 years ago, not even 4 years ago, I'd say there wasn't shifting. It's because they're trying to. It's the whole new strategy. And I think a lot of it does have to go back to the Rays. The Rays were one of the first teams who were really putting in these ridiculous shifts. They're the ones who did this whole opener thing. I mean, I definitely think it's hurting the game. It's definitely hurting in terms of more RBI chances, more strategy, but it's also forcing the hitters to go the other way. I mean, you got a guy, if you have the whole right side of the infield open because you're hitting it to the left side, learn to pull the ball, learn to hit the opposite field, and you're not going to have the shift. I mean, yeah, it's an analytical game now, and there's more stats and everything, but I don't mind it. But so right now, right? So the Yankees, they're shifting for Brandon Lowe. He's a lefty. There is literally there's no third baseman. It's shortstop, second baseman, third baseman, and then the first baseman. There's no one. He hits it to the right side, to the left side of the, he's got a double, easy double. I always said years ago, they always used to shift for Big Papi. If he learned how to bunt, he would have been a 300 plus hitter every year. But no, the shift is definitely hurting the hitting averages and RBIs and everything. Absolutely.
Yep, that's for sure. And my thoughts on the shift is I hate the shift with every fiber of my being, but I don't think because now they're trying to come in and say, we're going to outlaw the shift. I think that's a little overhanded. That's part of philosophy, strategy. Because once you get to the major leagues, and this goes back to coaching to me, a major league hitter ought to be able to hit the ball the other way.
Yep, I agree.
And I'm not just talking about, as you said, lay down a bunt. I'm talking about hitting the ball hard to the left side of the infield. If you did that, you'd be in second base, all the time. Can you imagine what happened if they did that to a guy like Tony Gwynn?
Oh, yeah.
The dude would hit 800.
Yeah.
You know what I memean? So that goes back, like I said, the coaching. You got to teach these guys how to go the other way. And but all we want to do is hit it over the shift. I've heard that so many times. But we had a guy, for the Texas Rangers down here named Joey Gallo.
Yep.
And the other day, I forget if it was Friday or Saturday, but he hit a home run to left field. Then he turned around and hit a home run to center field. I've seen him do it. If he would just hit the ball the other way 2 times a game, they would stop doing that shift.
Mm-hmm.
But he just, every once in a while, I saw him do it once last year. So the hitters got to adjust. They got to, and the pitchers are trying to help them out by throwing the ball over the outside part of the plate. Just hit it the other way.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
So I don't want to go on any rants, or anything like that. But that's a couple things that baseball could do to help themselves, because all you're seeing now is they're trying to hit home runs or they're striking out. And it's hurting the game a lot. So you guys out there, your coaches, listen to what I'm saying and have your hitters make adjustments. All right. So we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about last week, how we talked about the Dodgers and how they're they fell away a little bit. But this week, I want to talk about the Kansas City Royals. Because, you remember back when we first started talking, the Kansas City Royals were the darlings of baseball, right?
Yep.
So entering play tonight, they've lost 9 straight games. So would you say that the train is off the track?
Maybe. I mean, it's May. I mean, it's the second week in May. I mean, there's still 4 months left of the season. I think Michael K or whoever it was the other made a good point. You want to, you're going to go through slumps. You're going to go through up and downs throughout the year. You want to get those downs out early in the year, so then you can play good baseball the rest of the year. Now, I think wasn't it? I think a 9-game losing streak obviously is never good, but when you're losing, and I always have the mentality, when you're losing, you find ways to lose. Whether it's a walk-off balk or a walk-off, walk. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
always you're gonna find ways to lose, and all you need is that one game and put you right back, and you can go on a 6-7 game winning streak, lose a game, another 6 game, and you're right back to where you were before that. Now 9, depending on that division, that is in the AL Central. That is a hard division. That definitely is a hard division. Who's in? Are the White Sox still in first?
Yes, they are. They are in first place, and they're playing pretty good ball, even though they've had some significant injuries.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started with injuries this year. Oh,
well, unfortunately, that's one of the subjects we are going to dive into because last week, Howard, one of the things that we talked about was if you could overdo or redo your first round pick, would you change your mind?
No.
Okay, because I had the 4th pick in the draft, and I took Soto. And I had posited last week that if I could redo it, I would take Jacob deGrom because he has just been off the charts.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's now on the injured list. So, taking him first wouldn't have helped.
So I believe, let me see. I'm actually looking at my roster. I don't remember who I took in the first round. So my first round pick was Max Scherzer. Scherzer is having a great year so far. Let's look at his numbers. So he's 2-2 with a 2.33, and he's got 61 strikeouts already.
So he's back to being Scherzer. So
he's back to being Scherzer, and there apparently are already talks that if the Nationals really fall out of it, they're going to trade him. That would be one hell of a pickup for a team who's in contention.
That's for sure. And unfortunately, injuries are, and that was one of the things we talked about last week is, are there more injuries this season? It seems like there are than in years past.
I think so. I mean, if I'm looking at it a whole, I definitely think there are more. And I don't know if it's just conditioning, but they're not like everyday injuries they're seeing. Like they're like freak injuries. Like Robbie Ray fell down the stairs in April, like carrying one of his kids. He's been out. Odor, when he's his knee. That's a freak. He tripped. That was an awkward play. There's these weird injuries. And then you look at, today it came out again. Okay, Soroka, yeah, he had the Achilles injury. Now he has to go back from more surgery because he's having discomfort in there. That's not a freak injury at all because, but there's just these weird injuries. But my question is like, I mean, I know that Tatis tested positive for COVID. Well, did they put him on the IL because, they didn't put him on the COVID list. They put him on the IL. So are more people saying, oh, well, they're hurt, but it's really COVID plus like a slight injury. So they're using, I mean, there's just so many nuances. I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe I hope that these teams aren't doing it as a strategy instead of putting them on the COVID. I don't know. But there's definitely some weird nuances going on with the injuries. There's definitely more. I think there's also a lot more demotions this year too. Keeston Hira from the Brewers. Guy was he's playing great last 2 years. All of a sudden, they put him down to the minors the other day. It's just I think baseball's in a weird spot right now. In general, I don't know why. I just feel like it's a weird sport.
Yeah, it sure is, and Yeah, one of the things we also determined last week that there are several players that I have written about in my articles, and they turn up on the injured list. So maybe there's a Wilson curse that's going on. So
I
I'm
have
trying to
I
keep,
have a Yankee curse for fantasy.
yeah.
I've
So I'm
never,
trying to keep that under control.
yeah,
And as you mentioned, Fernando, just about everybody on the Padres seems like they've gone
yep,
on the COVID list, and
yep.
so you know, America, if you think we're over the COVID, coming down the other side, maybe not so much. So, as the Padres, they had Fernando Tatis, they had Will
So far,
Myers, Jurickson Profar, Eric Hosmer. Well, Eric Hosmer and Profar don't have COVID, but they were
they're on the
in.
IL, yeah.
Yeah, they were close to somebody that did. So, you know, America, you got to take care of yourselves still. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. And but there are some teams that are really battling some injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Like some teams, like the Dodgers, have 13 players.
Well, I didn't realize it was that
Tampa
many.
has 13. Milwaukee 12. Cubs 12. Mets 11. And the Giants have 11.
It reminds me of the Yankees from, what was it, from 19 when they had something like 20 guys on the IL at one point. You remember how crazy that was?
Yeah,
Like every day,
yeah,
someone was
yeah.
getting
It
hurt from
sure
that team.
was. And
That
so
was
you know,
nuts.
and that's one of the things that if you are a fantasy baseball player, and of course everybody is obviously that's involved in our show, and you need to keep on top of that injuries, because I had 6 players that I've had to deal with, that I had to put on the
So
injuries list at one time.
right now, I'm looking at my team. I got Yelich, Hap, Votto, Kettle Marte, Hayes on the IL. And I also had Soroka, and I dropped him today. At one point, I also had um, and Miguel Sano was on the IL. So that's half of my team right there.
Right. So that puts you in a position where you have to make some unfortunate
Yeah.
choices. Do I drop a guy? IL is full, so what do I do now? So that's why the waiver wire is so important, and people need to really pay attention, because unless you're in one of those big 16 or whatever league team leagues, there are players on the waiver wire that can help you.
Yep.
So, and that's why we're here, is to help you out with that. So before we get into the waivers, though, we do have breaking news, Howard, and that
Oh,
is, yes, we sure do. This important public service announcement is brought to you by Manscaped.com. This is your public service announcement and the news you've been waiting for. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available for purchase in the USA and Canada. This new trimmer was just released only moments ago, and we are one of the first to get our hands on it and share the news. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code. Of course, that code is BellyUpFantasy at Manscaped.com. What makes this trimmer different than other trimmers? A new multifunction on-off switch can engage a travel lock created for people who like to travel. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all over through additional guard links with sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, it is sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish. Even features a hot foil stamped black chrome Manscaped logo. Show that mower off loud and proud. The optimized Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, so you can groom in the shower and not worry about making a mess on the bathroom floor. Once again, use promo code BellyUpFantasy for 20% off free shipping. So there's our breaking news right there. And back to our regularly scheduled programming. So Howard, if you, like you said, half your team's on IL, so what kind of players are you looking at to pick up off the wire?
so I'm looking. What I usually do is I like looking at players who can do multi positions. If
Yeah,
you
I
can
like
play,
those as well.
because I don't like having empty spots on my roster, so I like, someone who can do first and third or first and second, outfield third, outfield and first, like a mix like that. I also see who's available. I mean, like right now, Carson Kelly, who is absolutely killing it, for the Diamondbacks. I picked him
Yep.
up as backup catcher. The backup, and I'm playing him as in the utility role. I like, and then depending on what else I need. Like I know right now I'm lacking in saves, so I know that Garcia when the Marlins is pitching well, so I'm gonna try. I got a waiver claim on him. Someone dropped Mike Moustakas, so I'm gonna drop Votto, and that should hopefully go through tomorrow. I just look at what's available, what my needs are. I I usually just see what's out there, and I see who's pitching well. Usually in April, I don't make a lot of moves because it's the first, month, and I usually let them out. Unfortunately, like I said, half my team is hurt, so I don't have a chance, to really do much because at risk of losing someone like Yelich to drop, to pick someone else up. So I'm just running it out. I'm in 9th out of 12. So I'm not really expecting. In my division, I'm in a 12-team league. I'm only 15 back, so I'm not. A couple good weeks. It's a 12 weeks. 12 category league. So pushing. A couple good weeks, I could be right back in it. I'm 20 games out of first. So I don't see first. Being there. But it's a keeper league. So if I see that I'm completely out of it, I can just start trading everybody, all the good guys for picks through next year and start rebuilding. I mean, my one guy in the league, he was in 12th last year, and his team is loaded, and he's in 10th. He's literally right behind me. His team is loaded. I mean, he's got Alonso, Arenado, Lindor. Grant Lindor's not been hitting. Freeman, JD Martinez. And his whole bench is literally injured. Buxton, he's got Wander Franco and Rutschman, and he has Luis Robert and Elroy.
That's a rough gig right there.
So his whole bench is literally filled with injuries. His pitching is suspect, but at the same time, it's it's one of those things you just unfortunately got to ride out.
Well, I'm in one of those more traditional leagues, head-to-head points leagues, and so far I'm 4-1 this year, so I'm doing pretty well. And I was getting my behind kicked earlier in the week, but I've pulled up. Last I checked, I was just 11 points behind. So some of the players that I'm looking at, I like how you mentioned about multi-position eligibility. So a couple players come to mind right off the bat, and that is Pavin Smith of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He plays first, and he plays the outfield. And he's only owned in 31.7% of leagues. He's had 2 straight 2-hit games. He had 3 games, a 3-hit game earlier last week. So he's swinging the bat well, and he's got a place in the Arizona lineup, which I like. So another player, which I wasn't really sold on him that much, but for the Diamondbacks is Asdrubal Cabrera, and he's pretty streaky, but he's really playing well right now. He's hitting 290. He had 4 hits yesterday.
Wow.
So he has a 5-game hitting streak. So, and he plays first and third base.
Yes, he does.
So that's a guy right there that you can plug into a lot of spots. And one of the guys that I highlighted in my article last week was Tyler Anderson, the pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yep, I picked him up.
Yep, and I'd said way back when I first started my waiver wire articles, I wasn't going to be highlighting Pittsburgh Pirate players very much this year. Well, they've tricked me into highlighting one of them just about every week now. So,
yeah.
But if you saw what Tyler Anderson did the other day, he pitched 8 innings against the Cubs. He has a 3.05 ERA, a 1.04 WHIP. So, and he's only owned in 25.2% of leagues. So, guys out there, if you need any kind of pitching whatsoever, get to the wire right this minute and pick him up. And another pitcher, he pitched yesterday against the Dodgers. That's the Mariners. UC Kukechi, for lack of.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I tried to put that out there correctly. So if that's wrong, I apologize. But he's pitched in the seventh inning, 4 of his last 5 games. He's only owned in 29% of leagues. And yesterday he pitched 6 1/3 innings. He gave 3 runs on 6 hits, and he struck out 11 and only 1 walk. What more could you possibly want from a fantasy starter? So those are some of the guys. And one of the guys that you touched on earlier, Howard, that's Mike Tauchman. Did I get that right? Is that how you say his last name? Yes. From he went to the Giants, from New York. Well, ever since he's been there, he has 8 hits in his 10 games there in San Francisco.
He's a good ball player. I was upset the Yankees traded him. I liked him. He's gritty.
And there's reason to like him. And he's only owned in 5.1% of leagues. So get out there, guys. And like I said, there's help out there on waiver land. So if you have a need, get on the waiver wire, do your research, look these guys up that we're talking about, because, like I said, they're out there. Excuse me. So changing from pickups to drops or trade, Howard, I'm going to just put a name to you, and you tell me, should we drop this guy or trade him? And the guy that leads off for me is Kyle Tucker of the Houston Astros. He's owned in over 90% of leagues. But what are we supposed to do with this guy? He's been struggling the whole season. Do you hold him? Do you try and trade him? Or what do you think we should do?
Let's take a look. You said Kyle Tucker. I think I saw the other day. So he's hitting. You take a look at this real quick. So he's batting. I would drop him. I mean, 203, 7 homers.
7 homers is nice, but 203 is
230. Oh, that's career average. 203. He's on base percentage is 279. He's not really getting on base.
Yeah.
He's got 5 doubles and 1 triple. He's struck out 26 times already. I would probably dump him.
So that's a guy, because he's on my team, so I have to make a decision what I'm going to do with him, because he's been dragging down my team all season. You got to decide how long you're going to play this out. So, and another guy that just can't get it together is Kevin Bidgeo of the Toronto Blue Jays.
I tried picking him up because I think he was drafted in a keeper league. And I thought that I tried picking him up and someone else picked him up.
Well, because I had picked him up because I thought, well, you know what, this guy, he has eligibility at 3 different positions. And I thought, well, he's going to pick it up. Guess what? He has not. So, and he's owned in 83% of leagues. So
yeah, I mean, he's doing 203, 8, and 11. His on base percentage is 314. I would hold on. I mean, he's got a lot. He's got 36 Ks already. That's a lot of Ks.
Yeah, that is. And if you're in a points league like I am, all these Ks are negative.
Yeah, I think I would be suspect on him.
So, one other guy is from Tampa Bay. He's Austin Meadows, the outfielder. He's known in 95% of leagues. He has 1 hit in his last 6 games. And
I like Meadows. I think I like Meadows a lot.
I just don't see why you would hold on to him.
I don't love Meadows. I always think so. Let me take a look at his stats. His average is down. I'm looking here. He's based on 2019. Because I don't look at last year. He hit 291. with 33 homers and 89 RBIs. Last year he was 205, 4 and 13. He is injury prone. He is injury prone. I like him. Sounds like he's having a rough year, but I do think he can turn around. Based on what we've seen. But if you take out 2019 and you look at his other years, he hasn't played great. But 2019 was his first full year. Because in 2000 last year he played 36 games. Obviously at a 60. So if you look at his numbers through 36 games last year, we're at 34. He's at 189. He's at 205. Numbers are eerily similar through 36 games last year. That's scary.
Yeah, it is scary because that's a pattern that you
That's
just can't. To me,
very.
you just can't ignore that.
They're very close. Like last year, he had 205 through 36. He's at 189 through 34. He had 19 runs. He's at 17. He had 23. He's got 23 hits this year. He's at 27 last year. Doubles are 8 to 7. Homers are 4 to 7. RBIs 13 to 17. The one thing he doesn't have as much as is strikeouts. He's about 12 less. Very, very. That's odd. That's like almost Chris Davis like when he was on.
Yeah, speaking of Chris Davis, he's about to be activated by the Texas Rangers down here.
Is he?
And yeah, he is. And you talk about a guy who's a strikeout machine.
Oh yeah.
So he won't be on too many fantasy rosters.
Well, he went from the ceiling to the basement real quick.
It happened just about overnight. So if you're thinking about, because I saw this the other day about, hey, let's go out there and get him. Well, go ahead and do that because I won't be following you to the woodshed to do that. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. So all right. So we have a second sponsor. I don't know if you were aware of that, Howard, but Wall Street meets sports gambling in this innovative app. Symbol, and it's SIMBULL, brings the fun of being able to play for the long term by purchasing, selling, and trading stocks of your teams. When your teams win, you win a payout. When you lose, you do not. The value of your team share is all that matters, and it's easy to use. Just download the Symbol app on your Play Store and use the promo code, as we all know, Belly Up Fantasy, for a $10 deposit bonus of at least $10 or more. Join the fun of investing in your team for the long haul, where the sportsbook edge is put back in your hands as the player. For the latest and most fun in sports gambling, download Symbol, and again, use the promo code, say it everybody out there, Belly Up Fantasy, for your $10 deposit bonus today. So the last thing that we discussed is what we kind of touched on it a little bit already. What is the status of our rosters? And a decision that was kind of put right in my face yesterday is Kenta Maeda from the Minnesota Twins. All right, he has a 5.35 ERA. Yeah, he has 2 negative point starts already this season. So, Howard, if you were like me, owned Kenta Maeda, what would you do with him?
Drop him. I would. I mean, negative starts, are always sounds like he's struggling a bit. Mechanics might be off. Drop him, kind of see what he's doing. Maybe pick him up in a couple weeks. But right now, I
have to agree with that because Howard, one of the reasons why I don't have a whole lot of relief pitchers on my team is because they can put out some negative points awfully quickly. So if you've got starters that are doing that, to me, you really got to look at that and move on. To me, one of the things that, fortunately for me, is Juan Soto. He was on the injured list, but he's back and he's actually playing the field now because he DH'd when they were up there in New York.
Yep.
But he's back on the field, and like I said, he was my first round draft pick. So I expected some big things out of him. So now that he's healthy, hopefully he can turn some things around. As far as my team is concerned, like I said, I'm 4-1. I lead the league in runs, walks. I'm second in total bases. I lead, unfortunately, and we talk about negative points, I lead in strikeouts. My team, my batting team, leads in strikeouts. So that's you deal with what you got to deal with. I'm tied in pitchers wins. I'm the only team in my league that has 0 saves so far. So I'm second in points scored and first in my division. So I think I'm doing pretty well right now. So looking at your roster, Howard, what's your analysis?
My team is hurt. I mean, my team overall is not doing too bad, minus the injuries. I mean, this week I'm winning in stolen bases, saves, and ERA. Everything else is pretty close. That's one league. My other league, I am in 7th. I am 3 games behind first because we're not doing head to head. That team isn't as hurt, but it's definitely hurt. I'm not thrilled with my teams. I thought I'd be doing a lot better, but unfortunately, injuries have been derailing, fantasy, and especially I think since there are so many. My teams are my leagues are deep. They're 12 teams each. There's not many people available who are not hurt. A lot of people are on the IL that are on waivers. So I'm just I'm battling through the storm, and hopefully, once everyone gets back, my team, they start producing, and I start doing well.
Yep, that's all you can hope for. And so, Howard, where can people find you out there?
You can find me on Twitter, NY Sports Guy 13. Usually tweeting about sometimes sports, sometimes just random stuff, sometimes not at all. But that's the best place to find me there.
Okay. So as everybody probably out there knows, you can find me on Twitter at Kevin62 WILSEA, and you can always find me on Belly Up Fantasy Live, or Belly Up Fantasy website rather, because I have an article that I post every week out there, on the waiver pickups, and Belly Up has a lot of different shows, guys, out there. So whatever you're into, join up. They've got football shows going on. They got basketball. They got hockey, even though hockey's getting ready to end. But whatever's out there, whatever you're interested in, get on to the Belly Up website and find something. You'll find something you like, and that's for sure. And that's pretty much it. Howard, any final words?
Nope. Just keep doing your thing, and just watch some baseball every night, like I do.
Yep. That's how life is good, when you can watch baseball every night. So
exactly. Yep. By the way, talking about run support, Garrett Cole, 8 shutout innings, 12 Ks. Yankees scored only 1 run.
Well, New York, the Mets and Yankees need to get together and talk about, why is it that you can't score runs when your best pitcher goes out there every night?
Yep.
So New York, that's your assignment today. Get out there and find out why you can't swing the bats when your best 2 pitchers are on the mound. So
yep.
So any answers out there, sure, drop me a line. I sure like to know the answer to that. So until next time, it was great having you all join us, and Howard is great having you back in the fold, and we'll look to seeing you out there the next time. So, until then, everybody have a great night.
Catch you later.